Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we need to talk about Manchester United's dismal, disappointing, and honestly pretty pathetic 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace at Old Trafford in the Premier League this afternoon. Now this video is being recorded at 5:10, so the match is literally just finished, and I'm going to be editing it during the Liverpool-Spurs game. So I hope you guys at least enjoyed the Liverpool-Spurs game. I hope that turned out to be a good football match, because this really wasn't. And something which I rarely do, because I really have his back, is I'm really going to put blame on Erik ten Hag for this, because I think he got it horribly wrong from a tactical point of view, and I think he let himself down with the way that he managed this game, again tactically. And I think what's more annoying about his tactical approach was the fact that we played the same side from midweek. You're playing against the same team, a game in which was United's best performance of the season. United seemed to avoid and abandon most of the principles from that game, which isn't okay as a manager. Now granted, yes I know, you could play a team 100 times and no two games would be the same as each other. I get it's always going to change. But to be lacking in such key areas which worked so well in midweek, for me, is just genuinely pathetic. So let's get into the tactical breakdown of what happened. So a slight glitch there, but we've got the tactics on screen here, and what we saw once again was Crystal Palace often playing in a 4-4-2. Now, to be fair, during the first 20-25 minutes of the game, they were a bit more aggressive than what they were in midweek. In midweek, it was very often a 4-4-2 out of possession. In the first 20-25 minutes here, it was more of a 4-2-4. They were looking to put pressure on United. Not really on Onana. Onana had plenty of time in goal, and we're really seeing that take effect now. Your teams just aren't really pressing United at the moment, but that's now asking questions of other players. And it feels like already United are coming into their next stage. Can you break teams down? And like I said early on, United had a slight problem here, because Dalot would push further forward, Casemiro would play as a pivot, and United would essentially build in a 3-1 shape here. And because Palace's front four were being a bit more aggressive, and because the wide players were defending from out to in, it actually made it at times a little bit difficult for United to get out in these areas, because they were matched up pretty much man to man. However, United had the counter for this, and that was to move Mason Mount deeper on the left-hand side, much wider, which meant that he was always the spare ball. He had a lot of space, a lot of time, and I thought Mason Mount was the best player on the football pitch by an absolute mile. I thought he was really good, especially considering he's recently returning from injury. But this was where United had some success moving the ball down the left-hand side. Mount and Rashford had some really good link-up during the first 30, 35, 40 minutes of the game. I thought the link-up was good down this side. Crystal Palace obviously reacted to that though, and they went, okay, we can't be quite as aggressive as we want because United have found out how to beat us. So instead we need to move to our compact 4-4-2. Of course, the strategy that we saw during the week. Now, again, at times it's going to change a little bit. Eze's going to drop a little bit deeper and borderline make it a 4-5-1 at times. But Crystal Palace are dropping men behind the ball. And from here, United had literally no answer. I'd love to give you a massively tactical in-depth video and break down loads of different patterns which we saw in this game, but we did not see it. And Ten Hag looked tactically inept in this game. And it's really disappointing to say. So, what are the problems? The first big problem is Victor Lindelof. So this is a personnel issue. Erik ten Hag, made a mistake with his personnel. He picked the entirely wrong centre-back. Now, a lot of people don't like Harry Maguire. I understand that, right? He's had some poor performances. People don't rate him that well. However, he has to play this game. He has to. United had near enough 80% possession. I haven't seen the stat on that. It's probably higher than that. I know at one stage in the second half it was 82%, in the first half it was 75% at one point. United had all the ball. You cannot have all the ball and expect Lindelof and Raphael Varane to try and break a team down. Especially when what worked so well for United the other day was Amrabat dropping into the back three and someone like Maguire picking the ball up and spreading the play. Because Crystal Palace are compact in their shape, whether it's a 4-4-2 or a 4-5-1, they're nice and compact, they don't leave many gaps in the centre, which means in order to hurt them, you need to use the width. You need to drag them over to one side and then switch to play. Something which United done brilliantly the other day. And Harry Maguire was a big part of that. His long passing was absolutely fantastic. If we compare that to Lindelof's pass map in the first half, it's so poor. It's so poor. I don't even know what to say about it, really. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, in terms of percentage-wise, it looks good. He's completed a lot of passes, you know, for people who kind of look at basic stats, 44 out of 46 passes, that's quite good. But look at how fewer passes he played to the right wing. Oh, that's right, 0. But also look at the lack of passes through the lines. That kind of crowded area just deep of the centre circle. It's all just little sideways passes. The lack of ball progression from Victor Lindelof was embarrassing in this football match. And it's getting to the stage at the moment with him, so far this season, where it feels like there's got to be a thing in his contract where he isn't allowed to pass the ball forward. It just feels like it has to be a thing. Now, when we combine that, Victor Lindelof, horrendous in deep areas on the ball, just safe, like a crab, sideways, even out of possession, never engaging the ball, just always sideways. Really poor from Lindelof, another bad day at the office for him. That's obviously a problem for United. You've also got Rafael Varane, who I actually thought had a good game, but he isn't a master ball progressor. He's good at carrying the ball forward, he is good in that way. But in terms of his passing, he's not one to really regularly switch passes. He can do it occasionally, but it's not really his game. He can't really play the ball through the lines. He does it sometimes. He's not great at it. United now have no ball progression from his deep areas apart from Sophie and Amrabat. Amrabat's very good at it, but to have just one player in this area trying to progress the ball, it just doesn't work. And this is why Erik Ten Hag got it horribly wrong. And tactically, it was awful. I can't believe, I'm genuinely in shock that he made a decision to start Victor Lindelof over Harry Maguire. I think it's such a poor lapse of judgment as a manager to make that decision after watching that game in midweek, where the key tactic was stretching the pitch, making the pitch as big as possible. To not even attempt to do that at any point is mind-boggling. Because what it leaves United with is basically all they've got is, can they get the ball into this sort of situation here with Mason Mount, who again I thought was really good. Can you get the ball to Marcus Rashford? And Rashford, good luck, can you go beat 3 players? Now I thought Rashford was poor with his final delivery once again. He's kind of trying these cute passes back to someone. And he deserves criticism for that. But Ten Hag deserves more criticism for even, he's setting him up for failure. I don't know what Rashford's meant to do in these situations. Unless he can beat 3 players, there's really not too much on for him. Because, like I said, Mason Mount is supporting him and actually done a good job of doing that. But Crystal Palace are getting players over. And once Rashford is in his position, it just feels like it's just Rashford and hope, basically. And if Rashford doesn't have a scorching performance, United therefore struggle from an attacking point of view. It was also the same down the other side. Dalot tried to get forward and showed some good moments. I actually thought he played quite well again. I think he's really played well recently. But Facundo Pellistri up against Mitchell, Facundo Pellistri was really poor. Really poor. Got absolutely no change out of Mitchell. He didn't play very well at all. But I think Erik Ten Hag has to react sooner and make a substitute. Garnacho eventually came on, but it took ages for it to happen. It took ages for the substitute to happen. And again, I think Ten Hag got that wrong. Tactically, I think he got it wrong. The other problem also, though, is in the midfield. Casemiro was absolutely horrendous. Now, for me, he cost United the first goal. Now, you're all going to sit there and be really confused by that, because if you go watch any highlight package that you can find on the internet, you will not see him even being involved. So how did he cost United? Crystal Palace, of course, score from a set piece. A set piece which never, ever should have came. I want you to go back and watch the football match. And unfortunately, for copyright reasons, I can't show you the clip. I want you to go back and watch the match. Watch 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds before the goal is scored from the set piece. Manchester United are playing their way up from the back, and Casemiro receives the ball. It's very clear what he has to do. But because he's a player who never checks over his shoulder and is unaware when he receives the ball, he gets his pocket picked, Crystal Palace go forward and win the free kick, which they then scored a goal from. Of course, in terms of, that's not on Ten Hag, that's awful from Casemiro as a senior footballer to know, or to not know that you have to check your shoulder. It's pretty embarrassing as a professional footballer. But United, of course, concede from that. Now, I've got no criticism of Ten Hag really for the actual goal conceded. It's a wonder goal, it's a freak goal. You can't really account for that. But it was United in possession were really poor. It weren't great out of possession either, because Casemiro was trying to engage on the counter press in high areas like this, but then that meant if the press was beaten, Eze's got all the room in the world to carry the ball forward and get at this back 3. I thought Mason Mount done an incredible job with his work rate. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. His tracking back, his recoveries, his high press, his counter press. Mason Mount didn't deserve to play in that United team today because he was so much better than anyone else, because he actually kind of put a shift in. In terms of United's other creative players, Bruno Fernandes, we just didn't really see him. Because United were doing such a terrible job of getting the ball forward, you're not going to create many chances because the ball never gets into these forward areas. People might say Rasmus Højlund should have done a bit better, and yeah, he should have done with certain situations holding the ball up. But give him more of the ball. If you touch the ball once every 10 minutes, I dare say your touch is going to be pretty rusty. But it was because United could not progress the ball in these deep areas. And that's why this is actually quite a short video. Because I haven't got tons to go into in terms of talking about tactical structures and, manipulating certain zones and first phase, second phase, third phase, players done this, managers done this and reacted with this. Ten Hag just got it wrong with his lineup. And also his subs during the game were too late, far too late in the game. But it was that I cannot believe he started Lindelof over Harry Maguire. Because Lindelof has been producing these sorts of passing numbers every match so far this season. There was a game the other day where statistically he didn't progress the ball once. So, to know that you're going to go into a game where you're going to have about 80% of the ball and the opposition are going to be really compact, to not play a single progressive centre-back is poor management from me. Lindelof was also poor defensively because Mateta physically done him. That didn't happen to Maguire the other day. So that was a poor decision. And genuinely for me, the blame for the performance goes on to Erik ten Hag because I think he set the side up for failure. Of course, individuals were poor. Casemiro was horrendous on the ball. He lost so many duels, was giving the ball away all the time. But we just know that he does that at this point. That's just what he does, it seems. Like, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just what he does. But Ten Hag set this team up wrong. In terms of the actual goal itself, Casemiro, awful giving the ball away. I'm putting the blame on him for that. Also, Amrabat shouldn't make the foul. It's a silly foul to make. United conceded the goal, but they had so much time to react and do something and move the ball forward. And like I said, Mason Mount looked like the only one which could really do it. Rashford tried his best, but he's getting outnumbered every time. And any time he does beat his man, he gets into a good position like this. He's trying to cut the ball back into the box, but there's about 100 Crystal Palace players there. So, I think that's pretty much genuinely all I have to say for this video. I've got one more thing to say, actually. The referee. Can we talk about that refereeing performance? Wow. Wow. And by the way, I'm not saying bias. It's not that he was biased. He didn't give Crystal Palace decisions. He was just bad. I don't like jumping on the back of a referee, but there comes a point where you have to say something. If a midfielder does a bad job, I point it out. A referee is one of the most important players on the pitch, so if he does a bad job, I'm going to say it. He was horrendous. Like I said, he weren't biased because Casemiro should have had 2 yellow cards. Amrabat intentionally handballed the ball at least twice, so he should have had 2 yellow cards. So it weren't a case of being biased. But for United not to get a penalty for handball is mind-boggling to me. Now, I know Joel Ward is facing the wrong way. It's not an intentional handball. But in the way that I see football, if the ball comes 15 yards and you're not intelligent enough to get your hand out of the way after a ball has come 10 to 15 yards, you deserve to give a penalty away if you're not intelligent enough to get your hand away at that range. It just doesn't make sense to me. The amount of decisions which were clearly a throw in one way, he gave the other way. The referee was just as bad as what United were, really. Yeah. Just out of energy after that. Honestly, I don't know what to say about this United performance. I don't want to rant and rage, though, because there's nothing to come from that. In terms of moving forward, as always, it's not quite as bad as it looks. United did have the higher expected goals and should have won this football match still, but there were underlying concerns with this performance. Ten Hag's inability to affect the game after setting the team up wrong to then not react is worrying, really concerning moving forward. Like, is that going to be a regular thing? If so, it's a real problem. The refereeing decisions did not help United at all. Individual performances of someone like Casemiro, Victor Lindelof, who are both absolutely pathetic, doesn't help Ten Hag. But who knows? Another day. I don't even know what to say anymore. I think I am actually just going to end the video there because I don't know what to say about it. I'm going to go enjoy the Liverpool-Spurs game. Hopefully there'll actually be some good football there, which is well coached and well tactically set up. We will see. But let me know what you think of this match. I'm really defeated. I feel really disappointed by this game because for me, this is the most frustrating defeat of the season because you beat this team 3-0 in midweek. Now, I'm aware it's a different at starting 11, but use the same principles which worked the other night. Make the pitch big, move the ball quickly. It was so laboured today. It was so slow. It was so sideways. Nothing forward. It's all sideways, sideways, sideways. Very few long switches. It was just poor, really. So I'm going to finish it there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.